a lot of sitting versus standing desks, etc., which we have some great pictures of the standing desk and people sitting on a higher table, so kind of offsets the benefits. So anyways, so we're just going to go through, we have a lot of slides, a lot of information to cover. There's some anatomy that we'll teach you, but then there's also some stuff that you guys can take away and what you can do outside of here. So I've been a physical therapist now for 10 plus years. I work with professional athletes, Olympic level athletes, all the way down to people that have strokes every day. People, we like to call you guys athletes. Everybody's an athlete when they come in the door. We know you guys like to be active. We know you guys want to be out there. So we want you to get back to the activities that you want to do. So if you have any pains, etc., please don't hesitate to ask or contact us. She's doing the computer, so I'm sorry if it's a little bit out of sync with her doing it. So again, we know there's a lot of injuries coming just from the poor posture, from sitting all day, from doing some of the sitting, standing desks improperly, etc. So we want to make sure we point some of that out to you, the importance of it. And then we have some exercises that we can send home with you guys, so we hope that there's at least 3 things you guys can take with you to remember and do later. Common injuries that we have, they come anywhere, shoulders, the headaches from the sitting desk, from the postures and everything like that, so we'll go through it. So those are like the 2 big ones that we get, mid-back pain, low back pain, and then it comes down to hips and knees. We have some attention grabbers, a little bit of video, exercise bloopers. This stuff is real, you guys. This stuff really happens.
Oh my
legitimately. Yeah,
we see the vid?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, they survived.
That's hard to watch.
Too much weight.
This guy's one of my favorites.
No.
This we see all the time.
Oh,
I'm just glad he has a clip on it so the weights don't all fall
Trying to
off.
impress his girlfriend.
This happened in our clinic. Somebody actually thought that's how you did the rowing machine, so it was awesome. This is a classic.
Oh,
Bye-bye,
no.
pull-up bar.
These are paid athletes.
There's bye-bye, fishy. Nemo.
Oh my
No more Nemo. Dorm room style right here. I like the improvisation though.
Jackass.
I think that's what the clip's called now. Back to my favorite guy. Anyways. Don't trust cats. That's why. Can't trust a cat. Anyway, so outside of those types of things, other causes of injuries, poor posture, sitting or standing for long periods of time and just not having the endurance to do that with your muscles, muscular asymmetry. So if you get really tight, so one of the things that we like to do a lot is show you guys this. So if I'm sitting, I wake up in the morning, feel good, and then I eat breakfast, and then I drive to work, and then I sit at the computer, and then I come home and watch Nintendo, play Nintendo, watch TV in my recliner. All of a sudden I'm really tight, right? My shoulders get tight here, my neck gets tight here. If I'm sitting at my computer, then I'm trying to do this, my neck, everything gets tight, right? So then what do? We tell you to sit up straight. We do this. Because my shoulders are stuck here, my neck's stuck here, right? So we'll go through and kind of show you that type of thing, how that ties into the tightness here, tightness back here, the headaches and everything like that. Then people go out and do the weekend warrior thing and they try and throw and all of a sudden they don't have that motion because the shoulder has no mobility, right? You can go to the next one. So shoulder and neck injuries. These are a laundry list of things that come in a lot of times because you're so tight from sitting this way, right? So we end up getting poor posture. You get the poor mobility through here, through the mid-back here. The hips actually are part of this, right? So we're sitting here like this. One thing you guys are going to see through this whole presentation, everything's connected. So with that said, pretty much everything I hit on, it's going to connect to the next one. So you'll see through the next one we go to mid-back. So my shoulders are tight. What's it doing? It's pulling here, right? So we just said mid-thoracic. That's going to be in through here into that mid-back, which is why we get that pain right there. Everyone comes in. I have one lady tells me she has a 3rd shoulder blade. She's got the pain right behind that shoulder blade. You just can't get rid of it. You get the stick. Try and grind that. Try and grind it in there. Tennis ball, lacrosse ball. Everybody's doing all these things, right? And a lot of it's just because we're pulling here, right? Our shoulder blades. Can you go back one slide for me? You can see the shoulder blades right here. They're going to be sitting forward like this. So it's going to pull on all these muscles right here, and it's going to cause that pain in the mid-back. But again, that's going to cause some of the shoulder injuries. So it's all connected here, right? You can go 2 more. There we go. So low back. For like this, everything up top's tight. It's going to cause that low back to have some tightness as well, right? And then we all get up and then we try and do this type of a thing. So we're here, we try and stand up straight, we do it with our low back. So we get the pinching, By the time we're in our 20s, you guys, everybody has some type of degenerative disc disease. We all have bulging discs, right? Unfortunately, you guys are all normal. You get your MRI, right? They come in like, that must be it. No, we all have that. If we all take, there's a ton of research out there. I post it all the time on Facebook because it drives me nuts. Everyone goes in for an MRI. Oh, I have these degenerative disc disease. That must be it. No. It's probably tight hip flexors. It's tightness in your back. Let's figure it out because we all got that. So your MRIs are normal. Get out of that mindset, okay? Let's figure out where the back pain is actually coming from. So a lot of that can be poor pelvic stability through here. So if your pelvis is offset like this, how many of us sit in our car, leaned over on the center console, right? Or some people in their truck, they're this way, right? We all sit offset one side or the other. We're going to get tightness one way or the other. If you get into and out of your vehicle 100 times a day and you're always the driver, you're always tightening up the one side. Feel how funny it is. Go around the other side of your vehicle and try and get in the opposite side. You're like, I don't even know how to get into my car this way. You know? You can't, right? When you sit on a wallet, bingo. My man right here, you guys see this thing? Don't put that in your back pocket, for the love of God, please. You need a purse.
That's what a chiropractor told me. Get that thing out of your pocket.
Yeah, what he said. I can't say that, but yeah, get that thing out of your pocket. I'll make you sit like this. So a lot of that will be pelvic asymmetries, right? If that thing, if your pelvis is off like this, imagine what it's going to do all the way up. You start having headaches, you can't figure out why. It's all the way down because your hips are out of alignment. So we got to get that going. The tightness and stiffness in the mid-back, like I said, everything's connected, you guys. You get tightness up here, it's going to pull down here, right? And then down here, general core weakness. We got a lot on that. So that's what goes on with that. Hip pain. Now let's talk about these hips here. We're shitting. Hip flexors get tight. What are the hip flexors, right? You come in here, this area right here. So this is looking at the front of a person. The hip flexor connects into the front side here. It goes through your abdomen. It connects into your lumbar spine. So imagine that. You sit, like we said, all day long. We're like this, right? All of a sudden we go stand up. These suckers are tight, super, super tight. So that's going to be one of the big things that we talk to you guys about because it's going to pull your back into that front position. So we've got to get those loosened up so that you're able to even pull that belly button in and get that pelvis so it's in the correct position. So that's a big thing with the hip flexor. So we've got to get the hip flexor stretched out. That's the number one thing I want you guys to think about, that and getting those shoulders down and back when we're doing this. Poor muscle fire pattern, you just basically don't know how to use your muscles with your back and your abs and the core muscles, so we'll go through that and talk to you. If you have bad shoes, this is not the place for me. You all stress me out, all the women with your high heels and everything like that. You look great, I like it, but you see this is what we were, no, that's what I'm saying. Shoes over time, same thing. If you're up in that high heel, it'll just put you into more of that lumbar lordosis, meaning it pulls your back forward. So we really have to strengthen the abdomen to minimize a lot of that. All right, we'll go to the next one. So here's a good example of what I was just talking about. So we have a couple different ways for you guys to think about it. So if we have the tight hip flexors here on the front side. So hip flexors, like I said, go up through the abdomen here. So if you have tight here, your low back usually gets tight, and usually your hamstrings are weak, and your abdomen is weak, right? That gives you that duck butt. You know what I mean? That's a ducktail right there. You think about your pelvis as a bucket of water. If everything is the way it's supposed to be, if we go for a jog every other day, whatever the case may be, we want that bucket of water upright. Once we go like this, it's going to tilt out. We don't want the water to spill out. So you guys can think about it that way. We got to keep the hip flexors loose, hamstring and abdomen strong, which will help with the low back. We can go to the next one. If you don't like our little cartoons, here's the actual real way you can look at it. Cross pattern, they actually have real life stuff that they talk about this. So hip flexors are tight, low back hurts. We talk about it everywhere, okay? It's one of those things we really got to drive that home. The knees are going to be, again, just another contributory factor. If the hips get tight, if the low back's tight, now everything, you can see if I stand straight up and down, everything's stacked the way it's supposed to be. The second that I start going forward, or I start having a belly on me, it's going to be forward on my knees. Now all of a sudden my knees start hurting even more. So another reason we've got to get your body weight in the right positions, the muscles firing the way they're supposed to fire, which is then going to take the pressure off the knees because they're not meant to move that way. Got it? We'll go to the next one. So the biggest thing I think that we're saying is that even though you have an injury and you feel like, man, my shoulder hurts, or man, I have a headache, it's not always because of that. Sometimes it comes from the fact that your hips are not in the right place. Sometimes it comes from the fact you've just got tightness in your low back because your hip flexors are tight. Sometimes your shoulder pain is actually coming from your hips being out of alignment because the lats are pulling out of alignment. So We got to look globally. We can't just look at one specific spot, which is the reason why when you see the exercises that we'll show you guys here in a minute, we want you guys to think about shoulders and hips. Open them up because that's going to support each other. The other thing to think about, and this is just one example, but we want to make sure that we have it here so you guys can see what we're talking about. Sometimes too, low back pain, it can be from the muscles, but it also can be from a disc, rarely unless you have a fall or a major injury. But it also can be a labrum tear in your hip. So if you have low back pain, it's sometimes from a tear in the hip, which is not what people usually think about. They do all this back surgery, and they don't even look at the hip, right? So a lot of doctors are now, orthopedic surgeons are actually looking for that now. Or it can be a physiological problem. We've got kidney issues, we've got all kinds of different organs in there. So make sure you're getting it taken care of if you do have pain, because it can come from a multitude of factors. Okay. What's the core? So this guy, summer starter pack, that was fun. We'll go. You can shave it in, make it look like you have a good core.
Oh my
A real six-pack. This one's one of the favorites, hillbilly technique. Just stand up against a fence. It's hard to see in here, but his is drawn in on his shirt. It's actually a vest for underneath, like a police gear. You can keep going. Or just a t-shirt, that works too. Now, so what is the core? Is the core actually that 8-pack of abs that we think about? Do you just go do crunches all day? Okay, my back pain is going to go away. I'm going to do crunches. I'm going to have an 8-pack of abs and I'll be great. Or there's an 8-pack underneath this fat. It's okay. It's not the core, you guys. The core is a little bit of everything, from our hips all the way up. So we're going to go through and kind of talk about it, but it goes from the abdominals to your back, to your hips, and all the way actually to your diaphragm, to how you're breathing. So this is getting more popularity with a lot of trainers now, and you'll start hearing about it. Facebook and Instagram have a really good network and community of new exercises to do and everything like that, and they're actually talking about breathing a lot more, which is awesome. CrossFit talks about it too. But breathing absolutely is a muscle that is part of our core. And you can kind of see here, there's a cross pattern that goes through our whole system, right? So not only is the mid-back going to be kind of the cross pattern between shoulders and hips, the whole body has a fascial system that crosses over, that goes across the whole system. So if you have a meltdown in the foundation of your system, meaning the entire core, you're going to have breakdown, whether it comes from your foot being unstable, which then you start getting knee, hip injuries, ankle injuries, or you're going to have issues up top. So we want to make sure we show you that. So we can go to the next one. So here's the beautiful, lovely, picturesque 8-pack abs that we all think about. We're like, oh, that's whatever. So then we go to transverse abdominis. So it's the big sheet that goes across here. So you guys have seen planks, anything that's like a static hold that you're doing. This is actually the one that makes you look thinner. So people always think like, oh, I'll go do abs and stuff like that. That actually makes your muscles hypertrophic, meaning it'll make them a little bit thicker, and it makes you look a little bit bigger. So if you actually do planks, this section is like an internal corset. So this is the one that we really want to do. Who doesn't hate planks, right? Because they're hard, which means we need to do them. We actually have a guy right now who's been working on, I think he's like 5 minutes and 7 seconds. And he was trying to we have an 87-year-old lady that comes in. She can do a 5-minute plank.
Oh.
I know. It is unbelievable. So, yeah. But this is the muscle that you're working on. And there's another one that works really closely with this. We'll show you. We can go to the next one. So over on the sides here, these are the ones that you see on the dudes that have really cut abs. You see it on the sides. The obliques that are over here, so that's what this picture is showing. So those are part of your core as well. Anything rotational that we have to do, that's when those guys are going to kick in. The diaphragm is actually in here, so it's a muscle that goes underneath your lungs, over your organs, but when you breathe it comes down and then it goes up. So it's one of those things that you've got to have this in conjunction with the muscles that you're using with your core, and it definitely will help make your core much stronger when it's done in unity with your exercise. So these ones are, people think that glutes are just the big muscle on the back, so we definitely just have the main glute muscles, but you also have these tiny ones in here as well, and then there's one that's deep to this that's in here as well, and then you have all these rotators here. So these ones are the ones that are all deep to this muscle. Very important. These suckers usually get pretty tight, which when they get tight, now we're talking hip pain again, right? So we got to get loose, we got to get to these, which this is that awesome sciatic nerve. So people that have sciatica, right? These get tight, look what it's pinching, sciatic nerve. So maybe you don't have a disc out that's in your back. Maybe it's not a disc issue. Yes, ma'am.
Is this your back side or your front
Sorry,
side?
your back. This is looking at your back. But, yeah, so this, if I peel off this muscle here, now we're looking here.
So that's the piriforma?
So yeah, we've got piriformis in here, and then we've got the obturators and gemellus muscles. And so this sciatic nerve technically goes underneath the piriformis. Sometimes in some people it actually goes through the piriformis. So if these get tight, but understand there's 6 muscles here, P-go-go-Q is what we call them, that are all the rotators here. So when these get tight, that whole complex is going to affect this sciatic nerve that come out of there. So we really have to make sure that we keep those loosened up, which then tie into the hip flexor on the other side as well. So definitely the external rotators are something. I mean, everyone talks about piriformis syndrome. People that go in and do massages like, we're right on the piriformis. I mean, are you really? Because there's 6 muscles right there that are all, together with the fascia and stuff like that. So you're in the general vicinity, but you're likely affecting all of them. We can go to the next one. So these are the ones that you see on someone on the back side. Again, really ripped people. You'll see those beautiful 2 strips in the back. That's what the erector spine is. So those are what are holding us up. Again, we're using a lot of those oftentimes when we don't have that transverse abdominis on the front. We don't have that stability muscle on the front side. So that's a core muscle as well. And then we come here and we talk about these 2 little guys. So they're actually individual ones all the way up. So you can see where the green pins are actually the target muscles. And so they're just the size of a pencil. And so this is actually the new research that's coming out. I just got done with the fellowship about a year ago or 2 years ago, I guess now. We're doing a lot of research on this muscle here. So it actually is 70% of the backside of the vertebrae. And with that said, if these are not on, then your transverse abdominis cannot turn on as well. So with that said, we have to get these muscles to fire correctly. When you get these muscles to fire correctly, oftentimes the back pain decreases tremendously. I think they're saying it's up to 50% now of the back pain goes away once these muscles. When you go into an MRI, we did some MRI studies out of University of South Carolina, and so we went through and you do the MRIs, and when people have back pain, you'll see one whole side of this muscle is completely atrophied. It's gone. And when we get that to turn back on, oftentimes that's when the back pain goes away. So it's pretty cool research. Because it was in the research phase back in 15, 16, that means that it'll come out pretty soon here, that you guys will start hearing about it. And like I said, it's the size of a pencil, so it's not a muscle that you go and you get shredded and anything like that. It's a small stabilizer, but we consider it as part of the core because it's integrally related to the pelvis and spine. Go to the next one. So what does this all mean? Our functional goals, right? What does that actually mean? We saw a lot of pictures, a lot of fun things. What we really want to do is get functional range of motion. So I don't care if you've got exactly what a swimmer or a gymnast has. I want you to be able to raise your arm up overhead so you can take your Christmas decorations out of the cabinet, or you can go throw with your kid over the weekend. You're not here, and then you go to do something, you blow out your shoulder because you can't throw a baseball or a football because you're so tight in your shoulder. So we want functional range of motion through your shoulders, through that mid-back that we've talked about, your low back, your hips, your ankles, and your feet. We want proper core endurance. Again, we're not just talking about those abs. We want all of those muscles to have good core endurance to hold you guys up. We want to build a program where we progress everything. So we don't just start like, okay, I'm going to do everything she says today. Like build on it. Don't just start out the gates and do every single thing. Make sure your program is something sustainable. And then we want to make sure we're doing all 3 planes of motion. So we're doing rotational, we're doing forwards, and we're doing side to side. So you can see this is an awesome standing desk that then we sit at. Makes no sense, but this is one of the things that you can do, right? So here's your posture check. We want to make sure, so this is what is a pretty standard thing. So you see center of mass here. Your back is winding over this, which is then going to put a huge strain on that mid-back through here. It puts a lot of strain on the neck and tightness through here. You get tightness through your pec here, tightness through those hip flexors, right? How not to use a standing desk. So posture check. What we want to do is we want to think about a string through the top of our head that we have here, so our chin gets tucked, right? Double chin, we'll clean it up. We all get double chins, right? Not fun. So when you're taking pictures, don't do that. But when you're doing posture all day long, make sure you get your chin tucked, shoulders down and back. So with the shoulder blades in the opposite pockets. So we're talking about that, it goes in the opposite pockets, right? So we're not trying to do this gig, we're trying to go down and back with your shoulder blades. Reset button. Maybe you can put a reminder cue, whether it's a post-it note on your computer, an alarm on your phone. Initially, every 15 to 30 minutes, put that on there. When you're in a car, if you do a lot of driving, really test yourself out, even today, just on your drive home. Get in your car, get in perfect posture, set your mirrors. It will take you about 4 lights, like 4 minutes, and all of a sudden you're reaching to get your mirror, like, oh no, that's me. I gotta fix me, not the mirror, right? Try and do that on a long car drive. It's impossible. So those little cues like that, little reminder cues are awesome. Good. So how do we work on it? We want to make sure the lumbar spine, pelvis and hip complex is mobile, shoulder has mobility, core exercises, and then the back gets stronger, which we'll show you that here in a second. So these are some of the exercises that you can do, and we can email this if you guys would like. We have this video. We're not going to do sound in here, but it does have sound, and we send it to you on email. You can email tops@topsphysicaltherapy.com. So you can do a standing extra rotation. So you can just do it standing and try and get those shoulder blades. Put the shoulder blades down and back, and keep your elbows to your side, and do this. Once that gets easy, then we take a little bit of a band, put it between our hands, and just strengthen those shoulders. Try and open up those pecs, nice and easy. If you do it on a corner of a wall, you'll get some feedback against that as well. She'll fast forward it a little bit here. So a pec stretch. You can go in any door jam or you can grab onto anything. Open up those pecs a little bit, right? So don't have your elbow way down here. The muscle comes across this way. Nice, easy pec stretch. So not only do we stretch the shoulder out, but now we strengthen it to open it up a little bit. So next one that we have, these are the chin tucks. So you can take your hand and you can squeeze it down. So like I said, we end up doing this gig. So we're trying to strengthen you and get those down a little bit here. So you can do it laying down or you can just do it seated, standing up. It's just a good reminder like, oh yeah, I got to get my double chin in. A hand slide one is laying down, and you'll see him do this one, which we described it on the video. You're laying here, your hand goes to the largest part of your head, and then you move your hand out, and it actually, you're doing like a neck plank, right? So you keep your neck up, and you really work these muscles. Do you have a question, or just, okay, no, practicing? No. Okay, yep, no worries, that's fine. You're fine. Good, you go to the next one. So standing hip flexor stretch, you can put the chair, I don't know if that wall is going to stay or not. Anyways, I'm not actually going to push, but you can take your work chair, right, when you're on the phone, and just do a nice and easy stretch here. So you get that hip flexor to open up on the front side here. You can do both sides, 30 seconds, go for 5 minutes, whatever you need to do. It'll help out. And then the next one's going to be, you can take that same chair that you have, and you can do a lat stretch, nice and easy. So you go down here and really stretch out the back and lats, and that will help to open up the back and the shoulders a little bit. And then the last one is going to be an X pattern. So again, shoulders down and back. You take a band and you just stretch it. So we're trying to open up the shoulders down and back both ways. And then there's one more for the shoulders that you can take weights, which I don't have any here. But you go in a scarecrow position, hands go to the opposite pocket. So again, we're opening up those shoulders, getting the back strong. We're pulling the abs in while we do it, so we're not doing it in this position, pulling the abs in, going to the opposite pocket, nice and easy. So these are just wellness things for shoulder and back. I think I lost my clicker. So this is a video recap that we can again email to you. So if you just want a piece of paper to put next to your desk so you can remember to do it, we can send the video, you'll learn how to do it, you get the cues, and then this will tell you how many reps and stuff like that to do. So when is it bad enough to actually get help? Like, okay, I've done all that stuff, I've done the cane, I've done the lacrosse ball, I still hurt. If your sleep is affected at night and you're not getting sleep, maybe you need B12, or your pain is causing you to not be able to sleep, get help. There's no reason. Sleep is the number one thing. That's why she's talking about it. We're talking about it. We don't get enough, and you're probably getting 5 to 7 hours of sleep on a good day, right? Don't let that be affected by pain, please. When your work is affected, so you're at work and you're like, man, I just can't sit here. My headaches are killing me. I got to go lay down. Those are the types of things. Get in and get some help, please. Don't go through pain like that. It decreases your productivity. You're more angry at the end of the day. It makes us all unhappy. So get in and get some help. And then your work productivity, if it goes down, if you know it's like, man, I used to be able to do this, this, and this, you can't do it anymore because you're like, I just can't, I know my shoulder is going to kill me. Don't do that. Get in and see us. So then the other question is, we'll go to the next one. When your self-help doesn't work, right? If you're like, I think I can do it, but I don't know, I'll just work it out, or I'll just put some ice and anti-inflammatories, or I don't really know the process, I don't want to go to the doctor, I don't want to deal with all of that. You don't have to. Here in Arizona, not only at Tops, but anywhere, we have direct access to physical therapy. You can go immediately there. You don't need a doctor's script, you don't need any of that. If you come in and after about 4 weeks we're not getting any better, we're going to refer you out to someone and we'll get you in quicker than what you will on your own. Let us help you. You can see on the next one, these are a lot of the surfaces that we do. She can play the video. This one will. If you don't like needles, sorry about it, because we got a lot of needles in this one. We do manual work. We do A-stem, which is a tool-assisted technique. It's awesome. What are you talking about?
That comb.
The comb. But carpal tunnel, a lot of the carpal tunnel, the wrist, but a lot of it's actually coming from the neck and back. So we'll actually treat both of them. Sometimes people fall in an outstretched arm, they have hand pain. So those types of things. We do dry needling. We do anything like TMJ type work. So this gentleman is a really high level like MMA, jiu-jitsu fighter. But his neck is the largest neck I've ever seen in my life. It's like the size of my quad. But yeah, so low back, and then we hook up the dry needling to electricity. So it's like a TENS unit, but I can go deep into the muscle and turn the TENS unit on.
Are you doing cupping on him too?
Yep, there'll be cupping here in a second. Yeah, so all that stuff. We do vestibular. So this is a big scar. This gentleman's one of the heavy lifters. They do all the world's strongest man type stuff. And so he had an elbow injury, and this is the scar tissue was incredible on him. So the needling helps with scar tissue. It helps with pain. Yeah, and then the next one I think is Achilles tendonitis. That one's also. So people get a lot of that pain right in the center where the muscle comes down into the attachment of the tendon.
It's
So
like acupuncture, right, Amy?
yes, so acupuncture, the difference between acupuncture and dry needling is just the philosophy. So a lot of times they do chi and meridians and working on yin and yang and dry and wet and hot and cold, etc. Whereas dry needling is more anatomical based. So yes, and then headaches, etc. TMJ, this is kind of combines the two of them there.
I can stay for a second.
Well, I've had acupuncture,
That's-
so it's similar to acupuncture.
Yep,
not
yeah.
necessarily
Similar.
painful. Similar.
Yeah, it really isn't that uncomfortable at all.
There's the cupping.
The cupping, yep.
Oh my god, that is so weird.
I'm still trying to understand the
That
philosophy of
freaks me
cupping.
out.
So cupping is something, so everything we do is compressive, right? So we do massage, we do everything, we push, right? The cupping is actually decompressive therapy. So just like when you do workouts, you don't do the same muscle every single time, right? We switch it up. That's what we do with cupping, is we just help to, we introduce it in to decrease, or to change up what we're actually doing. So it can be used, you can actually move with it on. So there's a lot that we can do with the cupping, and it just helps to pull that muscle up. We do full spinal manipulations, etc. Our clinic's in the background. Yeah, that's that girl. Yeah, so anyways, we will be around here as well, hanging out if you guys have any questions. Here's our information. Again, if you email this here, we can get you the videos, and we can get that video recap sent to you. If you need anything, you can always do this as well. Yes, ma'am.
One thing that I didn't actually see talking about kids, like these last few years, and I'm lazy, that's where we're going back to that, like when you really need to go ask for help. When I'm taking stairs, not every stair, probably depend how tall they are.
Yeah.
Like when I'm taking stairs, I notice that I'm having a problem with my hips. It's
Yeah.
hurting. So I cannot do that.
A lot of times is because you're trying to use the front side instead of actually activating the back side. So that's what we were saying on the slide. We want everything on the back to be strengthened because we need to get here, and our society pulls us here. Right? I mean, that beginning, I don't know if you go, the very beginning, you have to go back, but the very beginning slide, right? Like they say we're getting back, we're coming back into being animals. You know, we're going back to being on all fours just because we're turning in. So actually, if you look at an anatomical picture, it's always here, and our hand should be here. Everything's here, but then we turn this way. So, anyways, yes.
But that is something that needs to be
Addressed, yes,
Addressed.
absolutely. And we can
with a
definitely,
physical therapy or orthopedic doctor or something.
I would say try physical therapy first, especially because we have that availability here in the state. And then, like I said, after, like 4 weeks, if we're not getting any improvement, then I would say, and if we get in there and test you out and we're like, you may have a tear here or there, then we'll send you into the ortho. And a lot of times they can even just do an injection and send you back to us, and then we'll get you strong so you don't actually need surgery.
Yeah, I noticed that, when we do some of the classes, like we do together, the kinesis class, I mean, you see that there are like ladies that are older, like 20, 30 years old, they don't have a problem with playing or anything like that. I'm having a problem with the low back too. And
Yeah.
it's like something really, I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't do the plank or something like that, like if I'm just it's hurting.
It's hurting,
my
yeah.
low back
Because
and
they grew up with their mothers saying, sit up straight.
Well, and they grew up oftentimes
Be
not
proud of what you got,
actually.
they used to
Probably.
say.
Yeah.
Right, and they
Both
probably
sides.
don't sit as much throughout the day, and they stay active. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that we've gotten so sedentary. Even just our commutes in Arizona, or even we talk about in cities and stuff like that. An hour commute's normal on a train, even But here in Arizona too, like we sit in our vehicles, and a 30, 40-minute commute's a pretty normal commute for people here.
In
And
between listings, you gotta sit in the car, the house is too hot, the car's cooler,
Yeah.
and sometimes you're sitting like this, or you're trying to get in front of the AC, you don't realize
Yeah.
those little things that you do
Mhm.
all day.
but you would think like with some of those exercises and stuff that it will a little bit change, but
Right, it's being conscious of it.
Not a
too.
lot.
Yes, it's being conscious, and that's why we're saying make reminders. If it's every 15 to 30 minutes at your computer or in your car, whatever it is, and like I said, seriously, the mirrors will make you crazy. Like really, get in your car, get good posture, set the mirrors, and then game over. I mean, for me, it's on average. Sometimes I'll make it like 10, sometimes it's 2. And you're mindless about it. Yes.
You talked about the new study with the little fingers.
Yeah,
That's fine. So
Yeah.
what do you do to fire those up?
It's a very small exercise. Do you want to hold this for me, actually? If you just, or I guess I can put it on the handle. But if you take a band and actually, so what it does, it's an anti-rotary muscle, so it prevents you from doing that. So it's a very small muscle. So if you just keep yourself upright, and then we do a 3-step walk out, and then a 3-step walk in, nice and easy with resistance. So what that muscle is doing is preventing me from flinging this way. So it's a very small muscle that it's just this. So if you're doing 100 pounds, we've now recruited something else. It's not the right muscle. So it's just a small band.
So, question.
Yeah.
This morning in Kinesis class, we have the cables,
Uh-huh.
lightweight. We had the weight held straight out. Don't turn it all. Hold it. Change hands.
Love
change hands. Is that
Yep.
okay?
You're hitting it.
So
Yep.
that's what that
and we're doing the
Absolutely.
same thing with this one. Like remember when we were grabbing it and then make a few steps.
Yep. That's
All right,
perfect.
hold it.
So that's
That's getting that
That's
multifidus
good.
muscle. Yep,
Okay.
yep. And it's a very lightweight. Yeah. Yes, sir.
They're not on the plane anymore.
Having gone through rehabilitation
Yeah.
of my knee, and, I guess the question in my mind is, you can hire a trainer at one of our famous gyms.
Uh-huh.
But in fact, that's maybe counterproductive unless you're trying to create muscle mass when you haven't solved the problem.
For
Yeah.
pain.
For pain, but as far as, like, if I have weak hip flexors.
Yes.
So I said, well, they have 2 machines, do this, do that, or I don't have full,
Range.
you lose it, you lose it.
Yeah.
You don't ever get it back when you have a knee replacement. But are you advocating for people to come in to see you to get the right approach
Yes.
to train? I'll say training, but you can
Yeah.
correct me.
So what I'm advocating for is for you to come in and make sure the foundation is set, and that you know that you have to keep your hip flexors stretched out, that we have to keep our posture good. Because even today, I had a guy come in that had shoulder pain. Can do jujitsu, but is in with pain, right? So, anyways, but he was over there doing the exercises like this, and I'm like, what are you doing? Stand up straight and get the shoulder down and back. So I don't mind you. I love you going to the trainer at a gym. That's awesome because oftentimes they'll have a skilled eye on you, but maybe make sure that your foundation is there with the trainer.
Because I've not seen PTs basically say, when you leave here, I want you to go to Mountainside Fitness.
Yeah.
And these are the 5 machines. I want you to do this and come see me in 3 weeks or come see me in 4
Yeah.
weeks. It's like see me every 3 days, and I'm going,
No, that's not the philosophy
gonna
we do. So our big thing is so right now, the gentleman and I who started Top Physical Therapy together, we work mostly with professional athletes, and we want to bring that same level of care to the everyday population. So we're about 75% fire and police, Phoenix Fire and Police, because we do very high level people. So with that said, then the word of mouth has gotten out about what we do
you're at
because,
16th and Glendale?
yeah, Seth and Missouri, yeah. So,
Missouri.
yeah. But it's one of those things that, we want you in, and oftentimes we're doing the manual work and showing you what to do, and then we want you to go do it on your own. Because you have to have some sort of accountability. And even if you come in 3 times a week, but you still have a crappy posture and everything that you do, you're not going to ever undo what you know what I'm saying, what we're doing in an hour session. So our point is, if we can get the posture correct, let's get you correct, and then you can use the trainer, you can do your own exercise, you can do planks in the morning.
That's the
So-
point. Many of us are busy in our we work for ourselves.
Yes.
And some have families and people have to leave, so.
Right.
I found, I was going to another, now I know where I went. But, you know, I can step over cones. I don't need to come to PT to step over
So for
cones.
homes, no, yeah.
And ride the bike. I do need hands-on.
So that's what you see, our big thing, if you go
There's my
back.
$140 or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
no, that's, if you go back here, I mean, we are very, go one more forward, sorry. I mean, we are very big on this, and quite honestly, when we charge for insurance, while we're only gonna get paid for very little of that, and we get paid for the exercises, we still do this, and we do 30-minute appointments for every follow-up, it's an hour eval, because we get in there and we are hands-on, because we want ourselves to move, and we want for you what we want for ourselves, so yes, yeah.
That's fair.
a
I
big
mean,
thing.
some PTs in town, I
Yeah.
call it the old person's PT.
Yeah, not us. We don't have that at all. We don't have any enclosed rooms. It's a loud environment. I mean, you saw what it looks like. We have full Olympic lifting rack in there. We've got a lot of stuff that transitions to an actual gym or CrossFit type setting.
Good.
So, yes ma'am.
Do you work with Parkinson's?
We do some, but I will say that we are not the 100% experts in it. So the higher level Parkinson's that can move, we absolutely do some of that, but then when the people are pretty low level, where it's hard for them to even get out of a chair and everything like that, oftentimes it's not as successful with us, where I can give you a name of a couple places that are really good.
This is a friend, but he's high level.
Yeah.
He's-
Absolutely, yeah, and that's one thing that we're very comfortable with. So yes. Any other questions?
If there's any other questions, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know if you have a bulging disc?
If you have a bulging disc?
Yeah, if everybody has that, like.
Right, that's just it. We all have it, we're all living with it, and it means nothing, right? So some people will get the low back pain and they'll swear it's from the bulging disc in the MRI because there's no other answers. A lot of times it's the hip flexor is so freaking tight that it's pulling on that back. So just by the nature of, I mean, a lot of us played sports as a kid, and things are a lot better now than they were when we were kids. And so we all did hitting same direction, or we all did single sports, or
You
whatever.
just have to get an MRI to know that? Or how
I
do you
mean,
know?
you wouldn't need to know it. Like, my point is that you probably have it. Who cares? You're living with it. It's people are giving a false positive on what the situation is. So you may have a bulging disc, but everybody has it, and everybody's living with it. So is that really what your issue is, or is it that the hip flexor is tight and the shoulders are tight? So let's take care of that as opposed to going in and just doing back surgery. So we're looking for the alternative for that. So I'm saying, who cares? If it's asymptomatic, who cares, right?
Okay.
Yeah. We all have a lot of things. The labrums are torn in our shoulders, our hips. The muscle can be frayed up here on the top. A lot of us have those injuries. If we went in completely asymptomatic people, if we went into imaging on that, a lot of us have that type of a thing. It's when it becomes symptomatic that's actually a problem. So, cool.
Thank you.
We're like, yes, thank you guys very much. And if you have questions, you guys have cards on your chairs. If you have any questions, you
Yeah.
can always contact
I
us.
gave him my email.
I have one
Perfect.
See you.
Yes, ma'am.